So here at level 2, what we're going to take a look at is objectives and how to set objectives. You've probably had this many times. I'll set SMART objectives and make sure they're specific and measurable. And there's a lot of stuff been going around about objectives. Let's simplify it to objectives that I think you'll find really useful. I'd recommend that we start to think in terms of 5%, 15%, and 80%. Three different types of objectives that we could set, which begin to give us an ability to produce a really high performance. We'll call these TMT objectives. You'll see why in a second, but here we go. So in terms of the 5 and the 15 and the 80, 5% team development objectives, 15% personal development objectives, and the 80%, of course, is work objectives. And all of these need target measures and timescales. So the work objectives explain themselves to start with, don't they? This is the main bulk of the job. I'm suggesting, however, that 80% of the objectives people give are on work, but only 80%. There are a number of other objectives. So with the work objectives, we set a target. We agree in the objective how we're going to measure it. And we give a time scale. You can take the conversation on to more sophisticated, what do we do if you don't reach the deadline? What if we do if the work isn't there? Conversations, we'll talk about that a bit later on. But in the simplest form, set the target, agree the measure. This is so important. And agree the timescales of the measuring process and of the end point. That's TMT. But as well as work objectives, it is really good to get performance out of people if you set them personal development objectives. These are the skill sets that I want you to develop. Now, you can do it by self-study. You can do it, sure, we can set up a training course. You can do it by talking to somebody else and having some coaching, talking to a mentor maybe within the business too. But I'd like to set with you some development objectives for your skills. This is something that people increasingly ask for. How am I going to develop? And I would suggest some small objectives to build the team. So you might get team members to give a team briefing. You might get team members to run a team meeting. You might get the team together and ask the team members, I want you as a team to come up with ideas. You're setting objectives where people have to work together to achieve them for the sake of building the team atmosphere. So, of course, most of the objectives we give our people for performance are their work objectives. But do bear in mind, personal development objectives and team growth objectives really cement the whole feeling of this is where I want to be and I want to achieve these objectives. There's something in it for me, my personal objectives. There's something in it for the team, and I get the work done.